So I want to go over how I would do a summary and analysis. Now, just to let you know, this is obviously sped up, and the essay is from a textbook that we are not using in this specific section. But the method here, the approach that I am using, works for summarizing any kind of essay. So you can see here that I'm sort of going over the first steps that I would use to summarize. So I need to look at the subject and look at what the thesis is. I want to rewrite that, define any key terms. So I just take a note of that so that I know that that's something that I need to think about. And now that you can see that I'm kind of reading through, I'm highlighting certain things that I think might be useful as maybe as evidence. And that right there is something in bold that was a key term that they have defined for me. So I'm just taking a note of that as well. There is a source. So I am also taking note of the source that the author uses. And so this is just me kind of going back and forth between, and again, I don't really have a major, focus at the moment other than just I'm reading, I'm taking note of things that I might find interesting, and I'm just trying to fill out the, the different steps or the different elements of the essay that are part of the process. So trying to summarize what the subject is. In a moment, I will attempt to restate the thesis. I will compile some evidence. And also, this is a working document. This is not something that is, correct the first time. So you will find throughout this process that I change, I move things around, I erase stuff, but I don't spend a lot of time agonizing over writing the perfect sentence, right? I give it a go. If I can't quite get it in the first go around, maybe I'll adjust a few things. But really at this point, we are in shitty first draft territory. So the point here should certainly never be to try and write the perfect sentence. So I pasted something that I highlighted here, and now what I'm doing is sort of rephrasing it in my own words. And so this is in that stage of rewriting the thesis in my own words. So at this point, I'm trying to copy out some specific evidence. So I'm looking at these moments that I highlighted, and I'm either paraphrasing them, I'm identifying whether or not they are perhaps an analogy, a little story that sets up an example, or if it is, a direct quote from somebody who's studied something or has a shared experience. So this is where I am really looking at the things that I found important, and I am combing through for some of the specific evidence, examples, facts, figures, quotes from other people, analogies. At this point, I'm looking at tone and purpose. So tone in this essay is quite journalistic. We will talk a lot more about what exactly is tone. But, what are the feelings that are stirred up within me because of the word choices? So now that I've filled out some of the first parts in this process, I'm going to move on and try and address some of the larger context. So, why specifically did this author write this piece? What is it about her history that makes her an authority to be able to write this piece that she did? Also thinking about the larger context, this essay is about hockey culture and some of the abuse that goes on, particularly within the context of the national pride of hockey within Canada. So I will also try and sort of unpack some of that and try and figure out, what is it about the context of Canada, the context of hockey. Okay, at this point, you can see I just set a timer. So I've got my notes that I wrote. I have combed through the essay, and now I'm doing a 5-minute free write. So this is something that if you've been in class with me before, you know that I use a lot. You'll see a lot of errors flagged by my spell checker here. This is not the moment to edit. So this is only just trying to get out as many thoughts as I possibly can without any kind of editor brain at all. So what's great about the 5-minute free write is it's this uninhibited moment to really try and help my brain figure out, what exactly is it that now that I've gone through this is important. So now I'm pulling up, again, this is the the first components of writing. So this is what I am doing now. I've I've done some free writing, stage 2, and now I'm drafting a thesis and a bit of a first go at it, right? So here before I was looking at what the essay that I read, what that thesis statement was. Now I am drafting my own tentative thesis statement. So based on the notes that I took and the free write that I did, what is it that I want to do? What is the position that I have? What is that kind of one anchoring sentence that is going to help guide me as I write this piece? The important thing about a thesis is it's giving the position and then the important points, right? So what is the main idea and what specific details are going to be discussed in order to support that? Okay, so now I've got my kind of tentative thesis here. I'm going to open up a new document so that I have something that's a little bit cleaner. And that is not necessarily what I'm going to stick with in the end, but it's a great place for me to refer back to when I start to kind of forget what it is that I'm writing about. So the next thing that I'm doing here is I'm writing an outline. What are the different points that I want to talk about? And what do I know I'm going to include based on those notes that I made? So you can see I have things like, she includes anecdotal evidence, she compares some things, she's got, quotes from people who have experienced this. Based on the notes as I was reviewing, I realized that I had a good example of a system analysis as well, so I just added that to my thesis statement. And now I'm drafting. So again, we are not in perfect sentence territory by any means. You will see that I definitely do, erase things and pause to think about stuff and move things around, but again, I'm not agonizing over writing the perfect sentence at this point. Throughout this drafting process, I will sort of cut out some things and speed up and slow down just because I don't want you to feel that you need to watch, you know, me write in fast forward. But I think it's important for you to see that, it is okay to not quite know exactly what it is that you are saying or the best way to say it at this point. That is just something that we all go through, no matter how much we have been, how many years we have been working on the art of writing. Just doing a little bit of formatting. Now you'll notice that I did erase that tentative thesis statement, but I incorporated it into this introductory paragraph. So here's something. Rather than sitting and trying to think of the perfect word or looking up a page number or anything like that, I just highlight things that I know I want to revisit later. And now you'll see me kind of go back and forth between my notes that has the different evidence that I want to use, the topics I want to focus on, and the essay. Because at this point I've read it enough, I'm fairly intimate with it. I can kind of, think to myself, oh yeah, that one quote that's in there, that would work really well in this paragraph. So you'll see me kind of go back and forth between this draft, the notes that I wrote, and the essay itself. Okay, so now that I've got that sort of main idea and I'm starting to sort of look at the different pieces of evidence that I've used, I'm just crossing stuff out in my notes to, it feels good. You write a to-do list and then you cross stuff out, right? What have I already addressed? And that gives me a sense of, what I still have left to do. Okay, so if you were paying attention to the clock in the upper right corner, you'll know that I took a bit of a dinner break. I put it in a drawer. And now I'm sort of going through, and in some of those instances, I just highlight if I know there's a different word I want to use. And in certain cases, as I'm editing, I'm leaving myself notes of I have to look this up, or why is this important. I just did a little bit of restructuring there. And yeah, don't know if that's really the best way to word that. Just checking my notes, making sure that I've included everything that I wanted to include. Again, restructuring, right? What makes the most sense? What point should come first? What sentence should come first? Are my paragraphs staying on topic? Okay, so of course I would always recommend that at this point is where you put it in a drawer and walk away and come at it with fresh eyes. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to, look up some synonyms for things or use the dictionary to make sure that I'm using the, you know, the correct word. Sometimes I'll find that maybe I haven't fully explained myself and I need to give another example, or I need to explain why something is important, add a bit of extra detail. Now, thankfully, because I did that outline, there isn't a whole lot of structural revision that I need to do because I thought about that kind of stuff ahead of time. But it's very possible that maybe after I finish writing a draft, I realize that, one thing actually is more important than I thought it was, and maybe I want it to come sooner. Here I'm adding in, some extra information to better explain the, gender imbalance. And I'm just finishing up my conclusion here, realizing that this paragraph could be broken up, and now I'm just adding a bit of extra. Putting a title, um, last name and page numbers as part of MLA formatting, and at the bottom here, a works cited needs to go. I didn't include that in here, but we will discuss proper MLA citations, and now I'm saving it. And that is my summary. So I hope that this was useful for you. Cheers to you, and thanks for watching.